would melt the enamel off of your teeth trying to drink it. It was so damn hot. I want a black coffee that will punch me in the face
Why don't you unhook from that caffeine train?
because I like caffeine.
Oh.
Welcome to a BS podcast. Mark and I are back. We are recording on New Year's Day, and we've been sitting here talking. We honestly have no idea what we're going to talk about, so I just figured we'd start and well, as normal conversations go between the two of us, something usually comes up. I know we've been sitting here talking about tobacco products and tobacco use and YouTube, and I don't remember what it kind of, like most of our conversations, there's a lot of left turns.
We're just basically talking about all the addictions you have.
Okay, I'm good with that. So,
How many pipes do you own?
I right now I know it's more than 20, but I honestly can't tell you for sure.
Why do you need 20 pipes?
Because I like the pipes.
Yeah?
You know.
I mean...
In all honesty, that's... it's just I'll see something that catches my eye, and it's like, I think I want that. So I'll buy that one. And with the... Like we were talking earlier about the Christmas pipes, because I'm smoking one of my... This is a 2024 Gatlinburger Christmas pipe that I bought last week on vacation. I'll smoke my Christmas pipes, like I said before, like from at the Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. I'll smoke them up through the 6th of January, because to me that's the Christmas season. And then I really won't smoke a Christmas pipe again until next November.
Is your tree still up in the house?
Yeah. Well, at the annex. We never put one up at the house this year, just at the annex.
December 26th is Operation Ho Ho Gone in our house. I want that stuff. It just depresses me more or less. Like, yeah.
So and see, to me, I like the stuff being up, because to me, in my mind, Christmas goes the 12 days of Christmas. So that starts the 25th, and that goes to the 6th. So that's just the way I look at it.
I look at it more from a seasonal depression point of view.
Which I find funny, because you're the Catholic in the group.
Well, I'm sorry that my what theology or whatever is not correct.
That's the correct term.
No, that's I find it fascinating, like all the stuff you've talked about with the pipes, and heck, I didn't even know cigars were that popular.
Oh yeah, cigars are huge.
Why don't you guys just all like choose Zen, like all the cool kids do anymore?
That's all you're getting is nicotine, and to me, that's just nicotine and no enjoyment. The thing I get from a cigar or a pipe, or as you've probably known more than the cigar or a pipe, is me chewing. Because I hate to admit it, I think the first time I ever had a chew, I was like 14. I would say that I realistically started when I was 16, because it was once I got my first. I had worked I started working when I was 14, but it was like it was a weekend job that my parents drove me to, and that didn't last very long. And then I mowed grass the next year, and I was mowing grass, and I was working at a car shop that my brother worked at. I was just kind of sweeping up, stocking the filter room. I would help do some oil changes here and there. Basically, when the owner wasn't around, and my brother and his coworker didn't want to do it. They're like, "Hey, take this over there on that rack and change the oil in it." But I would. So at that point in time, I had tried it here and there, but never really bought any because, well, nobody was going to buy chew for a 14 or 15-year-old kid. But when I turned 16 and I got my driver's license and I was driving myself to and from work, and I was working in a warehouse with a bunch of college guys. Those guys didn't care. They're like, and there was one guy I worked with, Junior, he chewed. And so when he would go to the gas station on break to get chew, I'd just give him some money and he would get me some too. So that was when I would say that I really, really started chewing. And I just always liked that. I tried cigarettes and stuff when I was in high school. And I think that's part of the reason, like you were asking, if I inhaled the smoke from a cigar or a pipe. And that was the thing that I honestly, I think turned me off from cigarettes. I did not like inhaling it. Like, to me, and this will sound funny, I can swallow tobacco spit, like from chew. Like, you've seen me. I can work all day and not spit. Doesn't bother me a bit. But if I get the slightest bit of an inhale on a cigarette, I feel like I'm going to die. But, I don't know. So the chew thing was really, I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. I'll be honest, I just got lost.
We were doing great. We were talking about you have way too many pipes.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say I got way too many. Trust me, there's people got a lot more than me.
And somehow that excuse works with your wife.
No, I'm pretty sure it frustrates her because she made the comment the other day that she was downstairs in the basement and she was over there looking at the shelf and she was like, "I didn't realize you had that much tobacco." I was like, "Oh."
How many pounds if you had to weigh all of your tobacco right now?
In all honesty, it's probably not that much.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe 10, 12 pounds.
That just seems like a lot to me. As a person on the outside looking in who has no idea at all.
I can tell you for a fact it'll be more by the first of the week.
That's just what you have in your possession.
Because my chew order will show up somewhere around the first of the week. I haven't got an email from her. I don't know if they shipped it out on the 31st or if they'll ship it out tomorrow. Usually if the first is a holiday falls on the first, usually she ships my chew on the day before.
Okay.
But doesn't really matter because while I was at the Gatlinburg earlier on vacation, I bought an extra pound of chew so I didn't run out.
I think it's just funny that you mail order your chew. You were the guy that was so against Amazon and ever even doing anything to support them, and you're doing mail order tobacco.
Okay, so with that though, the mail order tobacco I'm getting, I'm still supporting a small business. It just happens to be a small business in another state, for one. For two, I know the quality of the tobacco that I'm getting from them. Before I started buying my chew directly from them, I chewed Red Man Gold Blend, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but I honestly can't tell you what's in that. I have no idea.
Yeah, you can't tell us, and they won't.
Exactly, and at least the guys down there will tell me that I can get some sort of clarification on what it is. And so I enjoy that, being able to have that information. And in all honesty, it tastes better than Red Man does, in my opinion. And on top of that, Red Man's up to, like for a 3-ounce pouch, depending on where you go, it's up to like $12 for a 3-ounce pouch.
Really?
Yeah, I'm buying a pound for like $30. So it saves me about 40%, maybe not quite 50.
What's the shelf life on that?
If you keep it in like an airtight jar, it'll last a long, long time. Because with chew, it's got quite a bit of moisture to it, and as long as you can keep the air out of it and it holds its moisture, and that's since I actually, in the past, I've always just kept it, and it comes in like a Mylar bag. And I would just, because I was only getting a pound at a time, I would just keep it in the Mylar bag, and like I didn't have any trouble with it going a month with that. But I, with buying an extra pound while I was in the store last week, I got some. We had some of the canisters with the rubber sealed latch lids.
Mm-hmm.
So I have enough that I'll take it out and I'm going to put it in them containers. Just because I'm going to, like, I'll probably have someplace close to half a pound that'll get left over, because generally I go through my pound and maybe another 3 to 6 ounces a month in chew. And the way they ship it, depending on when the first falls, or if the first is a holiday, whatever that is, some months I get a little early so I don't run out. Other months it gets shipped because, the first is going to fall on the Tuesday that week. Well, hell, on Saturday I ran out of chew. So I have to go to the store and spend $12 instead of where it's buying it the way I normally buy it. I'm paying like $6 to $7 for that same 3 ounces.
Okay.
But that was the big reason. If I didn't chew so much, I probably wouldn't mail order it. And I've actually, with now pipe smoking and the cigar smoking has increased, but that's brought my chewing down.
Well, there you go. You just figured it out. For all of our listeners out there, if you want to chew less, just smoke more.
Hey, something's gonna kill us, so
yeah. So you're smoking your pipe, drinking your coffee. I mean, doesn't one of them bring you down, the other one bring you up?
I don't know. I think they just keep me on an even keel.
Yeah, okay. There we go. So, why do you have so many different flavors? Like, what's the purpose behind that?
What do you mean?
Well, with like your tobacco.
Oh, on the pipe tobacco?
Your pounds of it you have, I assume they're not all the same flavors.
Yeah, well, it's because that's one of the things. So to me, you get a lot more of the like flavor and experience out of pipes and cigar tobacco than you get out of anything else. Like, and don't get me wrong, I've smoked cigarettes. Ace, that was when we were young and dumb. That was, Ace always told me, he's like, that's how I always knew you were drunk. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, because you'd say, hey, I need to go to the gas station to get some cigarettes. But that was about the only time I smoked them. But I mean, to me, it's not, there is no enjoyment. I don't get any flavor or anything out of a modern cigarette. Now my brother will debate that a little bit. My brother used to smoke Chesterfields, like non-filtered Chesterfields, like they would put in military rations during World War II Chesterfields. And one of the pipe tobaccos that I have, my brother swears up and down, like he inhales it because he like, I gotta give him a sample of it, and I got a text message from him like a day and a half later, and he was like, this pipe tobacco is fantastic. He says, I just like smoking a Chesterfield. He's like, I inhaled the entire bowl. I'm like, good Lord, man. I'd have been gagging like a maggot. Oh. Yeah, not me.
No.
But So it's the different flavors. So like, and you and me had talked about it a little bit. I have a tobacco that I generally smoke first thing in the morning, which is Cowboy Coffee from the Country Squire. That's generally if I'm on my way to work. This will sound terrible. When I get done at the gym, on my way to work, I'll pack a bowl of Cowboy Coffee, and I'll smoke that on my way to work. Generally during the day, I mean, I'm as anybody that's been following along with the podcast so far knows I'm a welder, so smoking at work is not really a thing because I'm usually in a hood, and it's just a pain in the butt. So I chew while I'm at work, and then on my way home, because I live about an hour from work, so I have an hour I can smoke to and from work. On the way home, I will usually smoke like Escudo, Three Nuns.
It's just the coolest name for tobacco.
So Escudo's like a Virginia Perique blend, and it's got a little more. To me, it's got a little more. I don't know how to describe it. So like Cowboy Coffee, it would be like drinking a cup of black coffee. Escudo is like drinking a hopped up coffee. I don't know. That's a terrible description. It's just got a little more punch to it, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I like, and same with Three Nuns, which is funny because modern Three Nuns is actually similar components to what's in Cowboy Coffee. Three Nuns, I believe, was originally a vapor as well, Virginia Perique, and it's the modern stuff that you get now is Virginia and dark fired Kentucky, and which is what I really like to smoke, or a Virginia dark fired Kentucky blend. That's kind of like my go-to. I haven't found a Virginia dark fired Kentucky blend that I don't like. And then like, cause I usually probably only smoke 2 or 3 bowls a day. So then in the evening after supper, I will smoke a bowl of Saint Espresso, which is a light aromatic. But like it's pretty common for me to sit down after supper, especially like in the fall or in the spring when we got them cooler evenings. I'll sit out on the porch with a pipe with that in it and drink it goes really good with a cup of black coffee. So that's a really good pairing. And then generally, like I said, at work I chew because it's just trying to smoke under. I'll have to show you. I have a video on my phone I sent to Brandon. He was texting me. We were texting back and forth Monday while I was at work, and I sent him a picture. Carmen got me a little. It's almost a nose warmer pipe, so it stays really close to your face, and I had it, and I was trying to smoke it under my welding hood. And as I sent him a video of it, you can see the smoke just rolling out of my hood. I flipped it up and started hacking. And I sent him a text message with that video and says, hot boxing at work. But no, generally, and then here at the house, like when I'm outside doing firewood and stuff, that's generally when I'll smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't require as much attention as a pipe, so it's easier to do. Like if I'm cutting wood with the chainsaw, I can't do it then because to me it requires too much attention for that. But like when I go out there and I'm just running the log splitter, it's really easy just to sit and smoke a cigar. And it just, I don't know, it makes it, I like cutting and splitting firewood, but if I can do that and smoke a good cigar at the same time, it just makes it even more enjoyable.
So I have no clue, but I'm just going to guess this might be a little bit of a controversial question, but which one has better flavor, cigar or a pipe?
Oh.
Gosh.
I will say this. On a cigar, typically, I don't get a lot of... Like, I can't pick specific flavors out. I can tell you when I smoke a cigar, I enjoy it or I don't. You'll hear guys talk that, well, it's got these oaky notes and this cocoa taste or this cocoa sensation and it's peppery, and it's like every cigar I've ever smoked, if you retrohale it, it's peppery. I've never smoked one that wasn't.
What's retrohale?
When you exhale through your nose, the smoke comes through your nose. You do that because that's you get a lot more flavor. Generally, I have better luck breaking it down and trying to pick flavors out of the tobacco if I retrohale. But it's like every cigar I've ever smoked, I get peppery on the retrohale. I don't care what it is. So I always tell people when it comes to cigars, I like them or they're not that great. And I'll be honest, if you're talking hand-rolled cigars, there's not too many. I've up until this past year, I've pretty much stuck to certain things. And this past year, I've really kind of started stepping out and trying new cigars that I've never smoked. Like, until like a month ago, I'd never smoked anything with a Cameroon wrapper. And turns out I really like them. Like that's one thing I can tell you. I get a little bit of the sweetness, more of a sweet taste in the mouth from a Cameroon wrapper than I would get from a Connecticut or a Maduro wrapper. But with the pipe tobacco, I can pull the flavors apart a little better. Like that tin that I handed you earlier, because like I'm smoking it's a Cherry Cavendish, something I generally don't smoke. I got it as a gift for Christmas, so I was giving it a whirl. But like I've been smoking some 2023 Kringle Flake from Sutliff, which is a Virginia Perique blend. And like, I don't know, did you notice the difference in the odor on it? Or did you pay any attention?
They smelled different.
Okay.
That's about all I noticed.
So like, and you'll hear, I'll use this one for an example because most everybody I've ever talked to pulls this apart, was the Virginia Perique, or a Virginia in general. They'll have a real, almost kind of a ketchupy, vinegary smell to them, or kind of a hay, like a fresh cut hay.
Yeah, a little
type
bitterness type.
Yeah.
Now a fresh cut hay. Now there's something I could smoke because I love that you taste it more than you smell it almost.
Right.
Yeah.
But like that stuff, that's and like when you go to smoke that, you can get, like I can get that vinegary or that ketchupy, because a lot of people say ketchup, and to me it's not ketchup. It's almost like a cider type vinegar, and it's, which I don't really like the smell of vinegar, but like the taste, especially backed up like with a good Perique, the taste is just, I mean, it's like, you get like, I get a sensation of almost like a really good smoked meat with a good barbecue, like a good rub on it.
Yeah.
Um, on some of those. Same with like a dark fired. I get that almost a smoky off the dark fired, like a good smoked meat.
You're really getting me hungry.
Good. I'm starving. I've had 2 protein shakes this morning. That's it.
So here's I guess another question. I'm just gonna keep asking all these probably pretty arrogant questions. But when you smoke out of your pipe, is at that point, if you smoke this type of tobacco, is that all you can ever smoke out of it? Then does the flavor embed into the pipe, or
so you'll have guys that will say that with certain blends you'll ghost a pipe, which is basically what you're describing, is ghosting a pipe. The only thing that I can think of that would just straight up, like probably imprint or impregnate a pipe to where I wouldn't want to smoke anything. Pretty much all of my pipes, whatever, because when I decide I'm sit down to smoke a pipe, I go look through the pipes, find one that I feel like smoking right now. I'll pick that one, and then I'll grab a tobacco. Because like right now, like the next couple days I'm off of work, so I guarantee you I'm going to smoke way more than I normally do. And I'm going to smoke some probably pure Virginias that I don't smoke on a regular basis. I'm going to smoke some vapors that I don't smoke on a regular basis. I'm trying this cherry Cavendish that I got for a gift. I'm going to try some of that stuff out while I'm just kind of hanging out at home. And I'm just going to go grab a pipe. I have one pipe in my collection currently that I won't smoke whatever I want in. And I can tell you, it was the very first estate pipe I ever bought. It's a Camoys Grand Slam. And like, I can smell the Latakia on it right off the get. So I know that whoever had it originally smoked a ton of English in it. English blends. Because that's generally an Orientals and Latakia blends. So, and I've tried smoking some other stuff in it, and I've tried numerous different blends of tobacco. And anytime you smoke it, unless you're smoking an English in it, you can always get a hint of Latakia out of it. Now, I have other pipes that I smoke English blends in, and I'll smoke an English blend in them one day, and then the next day I will be back to smoking Cowboy coffee, and I'll use the same pipe. Because like the one pipe I smoke in the morning going to work, it's almost always the same pipe. It's the very first pipe I ever bought. And it's always in my bag that I carry to and from work. And I've never noticed it in that. But the other thing that you'll hear people talk about that'll really ghost, and I think that's the benefit for having numerous pipes. Like if I had 2 pipes or a pipe and I only smoked an English blend in it, and then one day I decided to try something else, it would probably take a few bowls of something else before you quit getting the Latakia out of it. So I think it does happen. Does it bother me? Not really. Now, but then you get into like a blend that has deer tongue in it, which isn't a tobacco. It's a plant that they'll put in. I think C&D has one called Gentleman Caller that's got deer tongue in it. And I've never smoked it because everybody says deer tongue tastes like black licorice.
Yeah.
I hate black licorice, so
yeah.
I got no desire. It's like I had a friend give me a really nice bottle of scotch, and it straight up tastes like black licorice, and it is disgusting. It's a combination. If you were chewing on a piece of black licorice and licked a Band-Aid, that's what that scotch tastes like. It's terrible. It was a very nice gift, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely not for me.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, I'm trying to think what you call them. I don't ever smoke them. There's another one that uses some sort of like it's got some type of flower water or something in it. I don't know what they call it.
The way you describe this, it just paints the perfect flower water.
That's the best way I know how to describe it. It's if I smoked and I cared about them, I would be able to tell you. But I think they were popular English tobaccos, and they would use this stuff on it, and it has a very distinct taste to it. And I've heard a lot of guys say that like those will ghost a pipe. But for the majority of my stuff, because I'm bouncing between from this pipe to that pipe, and I do smoke Englishes, or stuff with Latakia in it. So, but I bounce back and forth, and it's a different pipe and a different tobacco. I really don't care, with the exception of that one Grand Slam. And I'll be honest with you, if I would just sit down and smoke probably a half a dozen bowls through it in a row that wasn't an English blend, if I smoked it the rest all next week on my way to and from work with Cowboy Coffee in it, that ghosting would probably by the end of the week not notice it.
Okay.
But I do know other guys. I know guys that have pipes that they only smoke a Virginia or a vapor in. They'll have other pipes that they only smoke English blends in. And you'll even hear guys talk about like bowl shapes and bowl sizes of the pipe affecting the way it smokes and the flavor and that sort of stuff. I think the biggest thing I notice on a bowl shape and size is how different cuts smoke in that particular pipe. Not so much as the flavor, but like I said, I don't have my palate isn't super sophisticated. I can pick out. It's got to be like, if you give me a Virginia, I can tell it's a Virginia. If you give me a Virginia Perique, I can tell the difference between a Virginia Perique more often than not and like a Virginia and Dark Fired Kentucky. I can pick that kind of apart. And even then, I would say that'll depend on the blend, how much of one or the other's in it. Latakia and Orientals to me are pretty easy to pick out. Latakia has a very distinct flavor to it, and Orientals, you'll notice some pretty distinct flavors. I have also noticed I got some holiday blends that have Catarini in them, and like it was funny. It's probably some of the first Catarini I had was in those Christmas blends or holiday blends, whatever you want to call them, and like that, because of what it said was in it, but then it said it had Catarini in it. Like I could tell that there was something else that I didn't pick up from, that I'd never picked up off of Virginia or a Dark Fired or a Latakia, and it was like, oh, that's this weird taste that I'm picking up on the back end. That must be the Catarini. Lakeland blends. That's what that stuff, the flowery water stuff, those are Lakeland blends.
Okay.
That was what I was trying to spit out earlier. But like, So Lakeland blends, I've never tried any Lakeland blends. It's kind of like the cigars. I guess I kind of have a wheelhouse that I know I like, so I've pretty much stuck to it.
Yeah.
I definitely like jumping out of it into some English blends. Like I've got some Latic, and then I've also got some or get into that so I can get some Latakia, because it's almost like going from the one to the other is almost like, I'm not a big chicken eater, as you well know. But if I have hamburger and steak all week, and then Carmen grills some really good chicken on Sunday for Sunday dinner, that's what that, and it just, oh my God, it just tastes so good, because all I've eaten all week is beef.
Yeah.
And that chicken is just so good, and it's such a different flavor. That's the same as, like, I smoke all this other stuff, and then every now and then I'll jump over and I'll spend 2 or 3 days smoking like English blends. It's a blend that come out this past year that I really, really like is GL Pieces Horizon. That stuff is like, it's by far my favorite English. And it has such a phenomenal flavor and aroma to it, room note. Now, Carmen and Hadley think it's the most awful smelling stuff in the world, but like, I love sitting up here in the barn and smoking it, and coming back in here an hour after I smoked it, and I can still get a little bit of the room note, and it's really good.
So, I guess one of the other questions I'd have is, like, so you have all these pipes. I don't know much about pipes. I guess I know a little bit about wood, and wood over time, without heat getting applied to it, dries out and cracks. I mean, I know what a pipe cleaner is, and I understand. You're gonna clean that portion of the pipe out. But what is there a lot of maintenance and stuff that goes into that to keep pipes from cracking? Or is that not even a thing?
It depends on who you talk to. There's guys that clean their pipes every time they smoke them, and there's guys that don't ever clean a pipe. They just smoke them. I don't do a deep clean on mine. Generally, when I get done smoking a pipe, I'll run a pipe cleaner through the stem into the bowl. Use both ends of the pipe cleaner to do that, to help get the moisture that's built up in the pipe out. And then I will take that same pipe cleaner, fold it in half, like around my finger, so it's basically shaped similar to the bottom of the bowl. And then I'll just wipe the bowl out to make sure I get all the dottle and the unburned tobacco, the ash.
Is there a screen in those?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'll basically wipe it out. And that's because I might have been smoking this. I do that because I bounce between different blends of tobacco so much. And I don't determine this pipe is only used for this. This one's for Virginias, this one's for Latakia blends or English blends. I don't do that. So that's why I make sure I wipe them out. I generally don't have any, I don't get crossover flavors by doing that. Now, as far as what you're talking about with them cracking, so with the exception of all the pipes I own, I shouldn't say that. The majority of the pipes I own are briar. So that's probably the most popular material for making a pipe out of, and it is very resistant to fire damage. So that's the reason you can light them all the time and you don't notice them get burnt. And I have 2 walnut pipes, and then I have 1 olive wood pipe. And I guess I'm lying. And I also have 2 corn cobs. But what will happen is you're smoking them and you're using them, they'll start to get, you can see inside this one, the black. It'll start, if you keep smoking them and you don't get hog wild cleaning them every time you smoke them, they'll start to build cake, which is just, they're building up carbon inside them, basically. And if you can maintain a very thin cake layer in there, that'll also help protect the briar or the cob or the, I don't know if meerschaum, I don't know if I would presume meerschaum will cake up too. I'm not very familiar with meerschaum. I've never owned one, never smoked one, so I can't say for sure. But now that cake can overbuild, like you'll see, I don't think you see it as much now because like guys our age and guys younger than us that are getting into it, they're like me. They buy 47 pipes. They're not like my granddad was, where my granddad, he went to the drugstore and he bought a Dr. Grabo and he smoked it till it couldn't be smoked anymore. And it had so much cake built up in it that like you couldn't put tobacco in it anymore. Now that's where you could run into a cracking issue, because the cake, that carbon buildup, it's going to expand and contract at a different rate than the briar or the meerschaum or the cob or whatever the pipe bowl's made out of. And so that's where you'll run the risk of cracking it. So like generally you'll hear most people say that you want to maintain, if you got a cake buildup, you want to maintain it. You don't want it to really exceed about a millimeter of thickness. So it's pretty thin. I have a couple in the basement I could get out and show you sometime that you can see the cake layer. One of them is that Camoys Grand Slam that I have. But like that pipe is super old. Like I said, that I bought that. That's a Camoys with the what they call the bar logo in the stem. So like that pipe was produced sometime between 1933 and 1944. So it's really old. Well, for me it's old. Compared to all my other pipes, that pipe's really old. That's the only pipe I have that's that old. I think the rest of the stuff I have is like 1980 or newer or brand new. Like what I'm smoking here. I mean, I just bought this a week ago. But so that's kind of, now if you drop it, you run the potential of cracking it, breaking the stem. But generally, even then, the place that you'll have to worry about is right here on the end of the stem. So this is the stummel here. Mark can see what I'm pointing at. I know this is great for a podcast, but where generally there's a tenon inside here from the stem that goes into the stummel. Mm-hmm. And if you drop them, a lot of times that's what breaks.
Okay.
So then you got to send it to somebody and have them make you a new stem for it. Or you can make a new stem yourself if you know how, but I'm going to send it to somebody that makes pipes.
How much does a decent pipe cost? I mean, you've told me some prices you've spent, but what is it if you want to go buy something and you're not just wanting a one-time use deal? What can you expect to spend?
Oh, you could get a decent, like you can buy a good Missouri meerschaum pipe for under $20.
Okay.
Now that's a corn cob. It really boils down to what you want.
Now, is a corn cob pipe, is it lined with something, or is it just pure?
Just cob. A lot of the times the outside of them are coated in like, I know this isn't the right word. I would say paper mache. That's not it. But you know, like the glue that they put on paper mache?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Modge or podge or whatever it is.
It's some of them almost feel like they have that on the outside of them. That I think is just to keep, like your sweat and stuff from absorbing into it. But the inside isn't lined, and the reason for that is that's what helps draw the moisture out as you're smoking. A cob will absorb a lot of moisture, and even on a cob, like I'm saying, like you can get into Missouri Meerschaum for under $20. But then you have guys that do custom cobs, and they'll be a cob, but they'll have a briarwood plug in the bottom of them. So it all looks like cob, but where the stem goes in, or the stummel is, that'll be going into a block of briar maybe, and so it's the inside of it'll look more like a briar pipe or a meerschaum pipe. And then you have like the Missouri Meerschaum, their stem goes in, and there's usually a little space below where the stem comes in. There's a little gap underneath, and that I thought that would bother me the first time I got a cob, and it doesn't. I really don't care. And I'll be honest, I had both them cobs I have. They smoke fantastic. In all honesty, the first time I ever started noticing being able to pull flavors out of tobacco was in a filtered cob. And I think the reason I got it was because, or got that real good flavor out of it, was because between the cob and then a balsa wood filter that was in the pipe, there, like, you didn't get any moisture pulled through. And it really kept that was me. It really keeps the smoke cool, and if you can keep the smoke cool, you can get a lot. You'll notice a lot more flavor out of the tobacco. So yeah, you could get into it really cheap. And then like as far as a briar pipe goes, you could get into a briar pipe for probably, like I have a couple of Morgan Bones pipes. I would say they were like, one of them I paid $40 for, one of them I paid $50 for.
Okay.
And they're briar. They're just not. They're unfinished. When I say unfinished, they have no coating on them.
Yeah.
It's a completed pipe, but it's a piece of briar that wasn't great. But I love them Bones pipes. They have the character to them, and the texture of them are just fantastic. And then you can get, like I said, there's olive wood, there's pear wood. You can get Morta. Morta is going to be made from bog oak. So, an oak tree that's been laying in the bottom of a bog for 1,500 years. I don't have any Mortas. And I'll be honest, it doesn't. To me, the briar and olive wood are my two, like, favorite, and it's because I really like to see the grain like this. You can see how much grains in this particular pipe. I like being able to see the figure in the grain, and a lot of really nice briar, you'll be able to see that. Olive wood is spectacular for that. I'll definitely be buying more olive wood pipes. The one that I have, I very, very much so enjoy. But it's also the one olive wood pipe I have, I think, is probably the most I've spent on a pipe.
So you talk about, and this has nothing to do with a pipe itself, I guess. I know one thing, and I think you're wanting to do a podcast on it, but like your whiskey and your pipe, you're smoking cigars or smoking a pipe and drinking some good whiskey. What's your favorite pairing?
In all honesty, with a pipe, I'd rather drink coffee with a pipe.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more just the cigars.
A cigar, I think it's back to what we were talking about earlier. I told you I notice, like, anytime, it doesn't matter what cigar I'm smoking, I get that peppery sensation on, like, especially on the retrohale. And that peppery sensation is the same sensation I get from a lot of that oakiness and the alcohol in a bourbon or a whiskey. And so, like with a cigar, that's if I'm smoking a cigar, I am probably have a glass of bourbon handy. Now I take that back to some extent. Now I do, while I'm smoking a pipe, I do enjoy an old fashioned with a pipe. And I think it's because it's got the simple syrup or some sugar in it. There's a little bit of sweet to it. But no, I would, most of the time if I'm smoking a pipe, I would much rather have a cup of coffee. But a cigar, on the other hand, I'm definitely going to reach for a bourbon or a whiskey.
What if you could only have a cigar for the rest of your life or a pipe for the rest of your life? What one would it be?
A pipe.
A pipe?
Yeah.
That just because you like the pipe?
I enjoy the pipe that much more.
I think pipe smoke, that's, I don't know if it's nostalgia for me or what, but I really enjoy the pipe smoke. I cannot stand cigars. And everybody's, oh no, you got to, this one's not that bad.
And that's okay. And see, I'm with you. And I'm a cigar smoker. But I'll be the first one to admit, like, I sit up here in the barn because, like, me and Carmen come to an agreement that I can smoke my pipe in the basement in the house. But I cannot, and I won't even then, I won't smoke because she doesn't like the smell of them. I won't smoke Englishes in the house. Like, I'll smoke Virginias, Vapors, Aromatics, especially, there's several of those that Carmen likes the smell of. Cowboy coffee. I don't know anybody that doesn't enjoy the aroma from cowboy coffee. It's not like super sweet like some of the aromatics are, but it definitely has a very pleasant room note. So like that sort of stuff. But under no circumstances, like, I'm pretty sure if I smoked a cigar in the house, I'm pretty sure if I walked into the house with a cigar, just ran in the back door, grabbed something out of the fridge and walked back out, I'm pretty sure Carmen would kill me in my sleep. She wouldn't say anything when I did it. But that night, when I went to bed, I wouldn't wake up again. I mean, that would infuriate her. So I won't smoke a cigar in the house. But like, so up here in the barn, I sit up here, or out in the shop is where I sit and smoke a cigar when, like, this time of year, because it's crappy outside and cold. A cigar, like, I got pretty lucky. Carmen found that candle that's sitting over there, and like that's the first candle I've ever seen that will kill that odor. But like, if I sit in here and smoke a cigar, like, you'll smell that cigar for a week in here. I can sit up here all day today and smoke a pipe. I could sit up here all day today, smoke an English blend that's, almost a lat bomb all day, and tomorrow you won't notice I was smoking in here. The pipe tobacco just doesn't saturate stuff the way the cigar smoke does.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because, like, pipe tobacco is, I would venture to say, got more moisture to it than a cigar. I don't know if that has something to do with it, or the way that it's rolled and packed. I'm not sure, but there is definitely there's a difference in the tobacco for sure. But it definitely lingers. I mean, cigars you just can't. It doesn't go away. Like my shop, especially up there in the shop, because me and Chad will get together and sit up there, and we might smoke a couple of cigars a piece depending on what time we get started. And I'm serious, like, you cannot, I bet if you walked up there right now, I probably haven't smoked a cigar up there in the shop in I don't know, 2 months, I guarantee you I can smell cigar smoke when I walk in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the community like? I know you've been to a few meet and greets or whatever they're called, but
Yeah, so we live in Indiana. This past year, Indiana, there's a group of guys in Indiana that's been getting the Indiana Pipe Club going, and I started trying to attend some of those meetups. I have yet to go to a pipe show. I'm actually planning on trying to get to at least one this year to kind of see what it's like.
we got
But
365 days to do it.
yeah, no joke. The problem is I already have a lot of stuff already scheduled. um, so, but like to me, it's a lot like everybody says that, this community is so great, the people are fantastic, blah 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 blah. I'll be honest, I don't. If you're in a group of people that have a similar interest,
They're always going to be good.
they're always going to be good, because it's like I started out, I used to be really big into shooting USPSA, and man, I can tell you when I remember the first time I ever went to a USPSA match, I wasn't even shooting it. I was out there. The gun club that I was a member of was hosting this USPSA event. And actually, I'm lying to you. It wasn't even USPSA yet. It was a USPSA outlaw style match. So it followed the USPSA rules, but they weren't a USPSA club yet. They were in the process of trying to get a USPSA club going at that gun club. And we had one of the guys that was really wanting us to get that club going. He'd sponsored the club to host this shoot, and I was just out there. They had, I don't know, 150, 200 people there over the weekend shooting, and so the gun club was serving. We had to have lunch available because it was an all-day shoot. So we had to have lunch available for the shooters there at the gun club. And I volunteered to go in and help some of the other guys grill at lunch, because we were just serving hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff. And I just volunteered to go in and help. And those guys seen me and that I wasn't shooting. And they're like, "Why aren't you shooting?" And I was like, "I just haven't ever done it before." And they're like, "Just take our stuff, Well, here's a gun, ammo, gun belt. Just put my stuff on and you shoot a couple stages, see if you like it." The cowboy action shooters, I've been to a couple cowboy action matches. Those guys were the same way. The shooting community was just, and I thought in my head back then, I was like, you'll never find a greater a group of people. I got into doing the firewood stuff, and well, I guess I won't say I got into doing the fire. I got into doing the firewood stuff and videoing it and doing it on YouTube. That firewood community on YouTube, same deal. They are just awesome people. I've met a lot of them in person, going to the Paul Bunyan show, going to Hoosier Firewood Hysteria. You couldn't ask for a better group of people. And from what I've seen thus far in the pipe and tobacco, I'll just say the tobacco, like pipe and cigar community, same deal. I mean, the people are just super nice. They're glad that somebody else is interested in what they're interested in. I've even the firewood and pipe and cigar stuff, I've had some overlap. One of the guys that I met at Hoosier Firewood Hysteria a couple years ago, or not 2 years ago, I guess it's been now, we kind of got to chatting and found out that, we both smoke cigars. And like this past year, he shows up and hands me a Perdomo champagne cigar, and it was awesome. And I had in my YouTube videos, a lot of times, if I'm just out there splitting, a lot of times I'm smoking a cigar, like I'd said, while I'm running the log splitter. And I usually show, at first I didn't even think about it. I was just smoking. And somebody asked me about the cigar. And so the next time I pointed out, said what I was smoking, and I got thanked because I told them what I was smoking. So it's like, okay, people might be interested in this. So, I was smoking some AJ Fernandez cigars, and the fellow that gave me the Perdomo champagne was like, he's like, I have never even seen those. You guys must have made a comment about our local brick and mortar must have a pretty good selection, which it does. And so I grabbed a couple of those and I just mailed them to him. And next thing I knew is like a week later, I got 2 new cigars from him to try again. And it was like, so it was really cool. And then this past year at the Hoosier Firewood Hysteria, a guy that I had been watching on YouTube, and I comment on his videos and stuff like that, but I got to meet him in person because he come up from Tennessee for the event. And Friday night we were all just kind of sitting around hanging out, visiting, getting to know one another. That some of us had met in person before, had been to other events, but there were several folks that we had never met in person before. So we were just kind of hanging out at the venue where we were doing this event. And after we ate, I grabbed my pipe stuff, and I was just sitting out there packing a bowl. And one of the guys was like, man, I've always been interested in that. And he was like, I was really, had thought about it. He's like, but man, you get going down that rabbit hole. He's like, there's so much information. I just got lost. And he's like, I just finally said, heck with it. And so I just pulled a pipe out, one of my estate pipes out of my bag, and some pipe filters, a bag of tobacco that I had with me, and a tamper. The only thing I didn't hand the dude was a lighter. I mean, it's like, here's everything you need, and I just kind of showed him what to do with it. And me and him still text back and forth, and and I know, like, his wife got him a new pipe for his birthday, and he's got some stuff, so like he's on to it now. And it just took somebody, kind of tell him it's not near as complicated. Don't let all that information out there be overcomplicated for you. And that's what I did when I got into it. I mean, I just jumped in. You know how I am. It's how I do most stuff. I just jump in and figure it out as I go. It's not always the smartest thing I do, but
yeah. Well, I think you get on a lot of these clubs. You get on a chat room or something with Facebook or even on YouTube. Sometimes you're trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah,
they're gonna so much information at you, but any good, like, and I think you'll agree with me. There's 99% of any of these groups, they're great. I think anything to do with trucks, anything to do with diesel engines, anything to do with heavy equipment, those guys they're jerks. Mm-hmm. and they'll cut you down quicker and crap. And I wouldn't cross the street to say hi to any of those people.
Well, that's what got me on the whole welding thing.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to look up some information on something I was working on, and I still can't to this day tell you how I got there, but there's a dude in there telling all these mechanics, you need to just stay in your lane, leave the welding to the welders, and this, that, and the other, and pretty much told a mechanic that they couldn't weld.
It's probably a pipe fitter.
And I was like, I've been able to do pretty much anything I've ever put my mind to. And so that was when I made up my mind I was going to learn how to TIG weld.
Yep.
And it was like, it's like nobody's going to tell me I can't do something.
Yeah. Well, and it's determination, or obsession. And that's the TIG welding with you. I'll sit here and I'll argue with you on it. It wasn't determination; it was obsession, and that's
It still is. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I love doing it.
So, well, that's about all the questions I got.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just. This was way out in left field.
I know, it's kind of nice.
It was kind of nice.
It's kind of nice to just let you talk. I could sit here and play with my little doodads.
Well, real quick, because we did pause starting this at the beginning because you got so your boating captain class is still going good.
Yeah,
and sounds like you're
doing some online or virtual.
I guess
stuff.
Basically, you're kind of moving into another step, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm moving into a part now where you got so much time to get the rest of it done. So hopefully, yeah, I'll definitely let everybody know when I'm gonna take my test and all that. And I'm sure it's, if you know me, it's if somebody's going to probably make it to be something bigger than it is, it's probably me. and that's, but yeah, no, it's going good. There's not really much to report. I think next week there might be a little bit more. Or who knows what we'll be talking about next week.
Yeah. Well, and I think today we were just, like I said, we're recording this on New Year's Day. I'm going to try and publish this tonight. So it'll go out on, if it's not out New Year's Day, it's going to be out January 2nd.
Are we on Apple yet?
No, that's what I'm going to work on. I'm dead serious. My goal for today is get an email set up for the podcast. Try and figure out what in the world's going on with Apple.
Have our first giveaway?
No, we're not doing a giveaway yet. I promise you are so hell bent on doing a giveaway. Once we have I guess we get a little bit larger audience, I think we could try doing something like that. As long as you're not giving my crap away. That's the problem I have, is every time you want to give something away, you just want to take something of mine and give it away.
I will pay the shipping.
How about we give something of yours
I
away?
have nothing of value.
You got a really nice case tractor.
No one wants that.
Yeah, they might.
So anyways.
Oh, see? Now we change the subject. As soon as I'm trying to give Mark stuff away.
This isn't the Case Tractor podcast. This is the BS podcast, and I'm looking at all kinds of BS right now.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm serious. So once we get something going, I think it would be fun to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to see a little more participation, if you will.
Hey, let's get on Apple.
I'll try and figure that out today. I really just, I don't know, here, between when we really kind of got this going and then having the issues with the mixing board, I'll be honest, I was just kind of infuriated or frustrated, and I was just like, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
And now I have some time off of work, so I was going to sit down and try and figure some of that stuff out today. Because I know, I didn't think I had to go anyplace. I think me and Carmen she wanted to run into town and pick something up, so I told her I wanted to stop by Menard. So sometime today we're going to run into town, but other than that, I'm just going to be here and try and figure some of this stuff out.
We're good.
But, like I said, and we didn't do anything last week with it being Christmas. And, well,
You did it on your YouTube channel. You had a
I
Christmas special.
I kind of did a little Christmas.
I like that.
Christmas shout out there. And I did that because, well, I ran out of time because I didn't say anything. I don't ever say anything when we're leaving, but we were getting ready to go on vacation, and I ran out of daylight before I got outside to do any work in the wood yard. And but vacation was good. Spent too much money at the Gatlin Burlier.
Oh.
But that pretty much happens every time I go.
You got to spend it somewhere.
Yep. And I'll be honest, I went down there. I did have a budget, and I only went over by a little bit.
Yeah. But when your budget's pretty high, a little bit's quite a bunch.
I'll tell you, I had a hard time because there was actually another. I'll show you when we get done. The one artisan pipe I bought while I was there, he had another one, and I really wanted to bring them both home, but it was like, God, if we'd probably only stayed for like 3 days instead of all week.
Yeah. Got them both.
I probably had bought them both. But, well, and I won't lie, I had spent some of my fun money went to some other stuff too. I've had that 450 Bushmaster sitting in the gun safe for over a year, and I've never bought glass for it. I got glass for it, so that's something else I need to put together is that 450 Bushmaster and try to get it out and get it sighted in.
There you go.
So maybe I can use it during deer season next year.
This year.
Oh yeah, it is 2025.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah,
I'm just glad you said deer season.
But it's yeah, so well, I guess we'll wrap it up and we will just say we want to wish everyone a happy new year.
Yes.
And best wishes. Hopefully you have a productive year. I hope I have a productive year. Hope Mark gets his stuff done, his schooling.
Well, if past has proved anything, it'll get done. It's just how long.
I know that feeling. So, but anyways, we'll let y'all go. Again, Happy New Year, and we hope to talk to you again soon. See ya.
I'm quitting whatever, and I'm just going to chew the gum. Or the new thing now is that those damn Kotex coated Copenhagen is what Dad always called it. Zen.
Them stupid pouches.
Well,
yes, everybody's on them.
These are medically prescribed fidget
Fidgets.
toys.
Okay, so